Revenue is vanity, margin is strategy, cash flow is power. Welcome to the Bottom Line Buzz, the podcast where business owners talk about what's really happening behind the scenes. Smart money, real strategy, no smoke.
Welcome, everyone, to the Bottom Line Buzz. My name is Joe Zahaitis, and my co-host,
Jennifer Makris.
We're joined today including Ian Rassman from Rassman Payments, who's also, I might add, the vice chair of the Cannabis Chamber of Commerce. Ian, welcome.
Thank you. It's really nice to be here with both of you.
Given the nature of the show, again, it's free form. Give us a little bit about Ian. A little backdrop, a little backstory.
I've lived in quite a few places over my life, but I've been in LA for 40 years now. But I grew up on a farm in Vermont. I grew up in Hawaii. I got my first exposure to cannabis in Hawaii in the 70s and 80s. But I was a victim of Nancy Reagan's Just Say No policy at the time. You know, I was pretty young, and you absorb what you see on TV, and I didn't want my brain to get scrambled like that egg in the frying pan. So, I was out.
Or on the sidewalk. This is your brain on drugs.
On the sidewalk. Or on the side of a car. I remember we saw them everywhere.
Remember that commercial? Yeah.
That was some stuff. So I bought into it back then. And then I moved to Amsterdam in the 90s and really had my eyes opened. Actually, I'd already started consuming by the late 80s, but I moved to Amsterdam in the mid 90s and really had my eyes opened on cannabis as a medicine and just a whole different view of cannabis that we just didn't have in America at the time. So
and I would agree with that. I saw that in the 2000s as well, and that was what really opened my eyes. But I know that Europe is certainly well ahead of us.
Yeah, certainly Amsterdam was and has been, a leader in the cannabis movement, if you will, globally, or at least being the global destination to go for decades, right?
I go to Amsterdam on a business trip. Okay, and this was quite a few years ago, and everyone after dinner said, "Hey, y'all want to stop at a coffee shop on the way home?" And I'm like, "I don't drink coffee. I'm fine. I'm just going to go back to the hotel." Didn't know what a coffee shop was.
Yeah.
Now I do.
Yeah.
I'm going to Amsterdam in 3 weeks. You go ahead, Jen.
There you are. No, I think we all, if we don't have an Amsterdam story, we should make it an effort to create one for yourself, because it was always the conduit to that culture, right, of cannabis. So I remember living in the UK, living in London, and just taking the ferry over the high-speed jet boat to get over to the other coast, and then the train into Amsterdam. And when you arrive in Amsterdam at 2 a.m. off the train, you're expecting to go to the coffee shop. But Joe, the coffee shops close. It's not like New Orleans or all night long. There's parameters.
Close? They operate like a normal business, like everywhere else.
There's so much normalcy. Yeah. And that's the bottom line over there. That's what they do. And it's just a great experience. And the canals and the culture, the World War II culture, and Frank, the Dali, like there's so many amazing components to Amsterdam. So for our viewers, if you haven't made it over there, you should go experience. And we are so blessed, fast forward to where we're becoming a country that is, normalizing it and talking about it, and we're providing services to the space. And that's what I love about bringing together you two, because the synergy between us are all financial services, right? So I'm a strategic advisor with all things cash management and financial services, and I am blessed to be accompanied by these two fine gentlemen that operate in the payment space. So together, we make sure the flow of money and transactions are effective and efficient.
Ian and I just make sure that we pass the memo back and forth before we go to a given show to make sure we're wearing the same sport coat.
We do have the same taste in jackets.
We do, and I love it. It's awesome. It's the best.
And it's a high standard for our viewers. It's a high standard of apparel with these two fine gentlemen.
It's fun. So let's get to today's topic. Today's topic, we're going to talk about some of the events coming up in the industry. I think we have quite a few of them. Given the nature of release dates, we're going to make sure the topics we talk about are ones that you're all going to not have missed already. So we're going to push this out just a little bit because we do have a release schedule. But I'm going to flip it to Ian to start with. Ian, what do you know about what should everyone in the industry be aware of, perhaps participating in, and then I'm going to go to Jen. I think, Jen, you/we have a bunch to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Before we move on too far from Amsterdam, I will just mention a couple of things about Europe and events. I'm heading there in a few weeks, and I'm going to be leading one of my Cannabis City walking tours again. So, third annual Amsterdam Cannabis Walking Tour, and
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, yeah. We get a bunch of industry people there that are basically headed off to Europe at that time for ICBC. This is going to be the biggest international conference of the year coming up so heading out there. I'm going to do a walking tour in Amsterdam and Berlin after the conference. So it's just a great networking opportunity to go see the sites in these cities that we're going to do the conferences. You guys both know, because I see you guys all over the country, and we go into Chicago or we go to DC, and these great places. We want to go see something because they're such beautiful cities. So it's a great opportunity.
If you look at the nature of that Amsterdam trip and just what's going on in Europe, how much crossover is there, just as a question for the listening audience and for me as well, how much crossover there is into the States in terms of what's going on over there that would, and is going to impact what's going on over
here? I wouldn't say that there's a lot happening over there that would affect here, but there's really opportunity that's missing for us over here in those markets over there.
So seeing what they're doing gives us then the insight to say, hey, maybe we should do that here.
Let me tell you right now, if you look up, there's going to be an airplane flying right over our heads with cannabis from Canada to Europe. How come it's not leaving from America with some American products on it? It's because we're Schedule 1 and we don't participate in any of that. So the international market is just leaving us behind. We are, doing well in some markets here in the U.S. and not doing well in other markets here in the U.S., but most of us are ignoring, because we have to, the international markets. So, if you're an actual cannabis brand or an operator or a supplier,
you're constrained by virtue of the nature of just what we got going on.
You're a bit constrained in being able to have that cross-border. We can't even work across state lines, so I think really the
nature of our beast. Trust me, we know, you and I both know from a payments perspective, it's the nature of our beast.
Yeah. So I think we can see as an example, Europe coming together and doing cross-border commerce, and we're not participating in it as Americans at this time. Now that doesn't go to say that there aren't individual Americans who are involved in international business and cannabis, myself included. But I'm not a licensed brand or any of these things. I'm not plant touching, so these things are easier for people that are not plant touching. But when you're plant touching, there's really very little cross-border opportunity from America, unfortunately. So, but exciting things to coming up. You want to talk about some events, because there's just a bunch of great things.
I would love to hear about them. Yes, please.
And you know what this means? This is the how much closer we're going to be able to strategize the sport coat that we will see you both in at these events. So
I can neither confirm or deny what will go on in the background, but we can certainly talk about it.
I have a little anxiety knowing I'm going to see you at a show, and I'm like, I wonder what coat you'll be wearing.
I will not. Okay, we got to get to the shows. But I will say that I'm like, okay, I know I'm going to this show. It was actually Benzinga last time. I'm like, how much want to bet Ian's going to wear the pink one again? I am totally wearing the pink one. And then you were. And I'm like, dope.
Perfect. It was meant to be. All right, let's go. Show schedule.
Go. I think most exciting thing coming up, in April timeframe is going to be some international stuff. We have ICBC, International Cannabis Business Conference, world's biggest international expo. That's going to be in Berlin, April 13 to 15. Through the Cannabis Chamber of Commerce, we have a code if you want 25% off for tickets, VIP Chamber 25. Then Spannabis is coming up in Bilbao. Now this is interesting because Spannabis has traditionally been in Barcelona for many, many years at a beautiful, beautiful location that has since been is being deconstructed at the moment. So they moved on to Bilbao, and a lot of people are heading from ICBC straight out to Bilbao, Spain, April 17th and 19th. But then coming back here to the U.S., we have a very well-known show, NECANN, coming up in Pennsylvania and in Boston. And those are going to be great shows. Of course, NECANN does shows across the country, but Boston, I would say, is their premier show, their biggest show.
I agree.
That's gonna
Same
be,
venue that it's been in the past?
I believe so.
I believe so, right?
Mm-hmm.
So NECANN Boston is April 24, 25. Great show. They pull a great crowd. And then there's another conference series, Ignite It, formerly Benzinga, where most of us have met all the time. So, of course, now it's called Ignite It, and they are doing 6 shows across the country this year, and they're all going to be great. And, of course, it's going to start off, well, they just had New Jersey, which was a great event. Saw you out
And if
there.
I could just do a
You did go to it, didn't you, Jen? You went to that one, didn't you?
both Ian and I were there, and I have to
Okay.
tell you, quick shout out to our one of our guests on Bottom Line Buzz, Jessica Ferranti. She threw an amazing Ignite Her event that was just a women forward, great, C-suite executives in the room. It was just a wonderful, well curated event. So shout out to her. She's doing amazing things, and we had a great time in Jersey. Proud to be part of the Ignite It family. Going to be doing some speaking there and some big announcements to come about Chicago. So stay tuned. Looking forward to that. But Ian, not to take anything away from the rest of this conference schedule, but definitely Boston NECANN, great conference, always a great turnout, well attended, and the Ignite It initiative has really just been a really great experience so far, and look forward to the rest of the conferences they have specifically on the calendar for this year. Sorry, Ian, let's get into the rest of May now. May, we were just finished. April was April 30th, Ignite It Spotlight, Cincinnati, and then Ignite It Chicago. Sorry.
Is that the next Ignited is going to be in Cincinnati? Okay, awesome. Good to know.
Cincinnati. Moderating a panel, so come see me.
Yeah. April 30th, that's going to be another great event. And put on by Patrick and Elliot Lane, the Lane brothers, that just put on a great show, and they get really the right people into the room, all the decision makers there. So, of course, I know we'll all be meeting in Chicago. We're all coming to you again in June this time, Joe, for the next one.
That's his backyard. That's his backyard, Chicago.
Joe's the center of the universe. I'm just sad that are they doing a Florida one again, or have they knocked that out completely?
Yeah, that was the old model.
Right, I know that was the old model. That's why I'm asking the question. I'm looking forward to Chicago for sure, and I'll probably be at Cincinnati as well.
Yeah. And then May starts off strong with MJ Unpacked, another fantastic series that travels around the country. And they're going to be in Atlantic City. This is going to be a great show. That's going to be from May 5 to 7.
Shout out to George Jage. Shout out, and to Wendy Campbell. They do a great job, and Kim. So absolutely.
They do. They really put on some great shows. And we're going to talk about, they're doing 3 this year, and they're all worthy to chat about. So we're going to get to them in order here. And we have, so straight out of MJ Unpacked, NECANN, again, is popping up another conference May 8th and 9th in Vermont. As I mentioned, I grew up in Vermont, so I'm
beautiful.
dying to go to this conference in
Yes.
Vermont. And then there's the Reveille Buyers Club in upstate New York, May 13th. Now, I have not attended this personally, but I really hear great things about it, and I know it gets a lot of attention and a lot of people.
Yeah. I heard some good things about it last year when it was in New York. So, yeah, I haven't been either, but I've definitely heard some good things as well.
I hear great things
Creating
about
some
it all.
FOMO.
Yes, 100% on this one. Yeah, that's why I mentioned it, because I just hear so many great things about it. So it's on
For
my
sure.
list of things to go get to. We have, and then NECANN again is going to be putting on another show, this time in Minnesota. So they're going to be there May 14th and 15th. Again, NECANN, great conference series, all the shows they put on. So then May is also very traditional lobbying month on the Hill in Washington, DC. So now, while I'm going to say that at the onset, this may not appear to be business focused per se, that's not true. A lot of people in the industry are also advocates, right? Myself included. And so when I go to these things, I see all my colleagues from here, from there, and the ones that are volunteering their time to put into behind organizations like Normal and NCIA, and these organizations that are really going to the hill. So it's important to support them, and there's plenty of industry people that are going to be there. And so that's going to be May 12th to 14th. The Cannabis Unity Coalition, NCIA, Normal, all the groups are going to be there that week. So great time to go to DC in May.
Cherry blossoms, are they in bloom then? Cherry blossoms in DC? I'm not sure, but
bloom at the end of this month. So
Right, I think that hits at the tail end, because the last time I was there it was actually MCBA's event on the Hill. It was right at the tail end of that, and we're part of NCIA, so I think we're going to be a part of that May. And of course, NCIA with the new board kind of standing up, it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of them relative to that particular event. But they're already planning on it being quite the big thing, quite the big shindig, if you will.
and if I could just add, getting involved at the advocacy side, the policy side, speaking with your lawmakers, whether that's at the state level, because going federal and going to the Hill can be intimidating, but get involved locally. So they're in Florida. We have an organization called Florida Cannabis Action Network. We're up there while session is happening, meeting with lawmakers. We just are working on a veterans bill right now for the state of Florida. So I definitely encourage our viewers to get involved, at a state level, aligning with an organization, and then to, Joe and Ian's, example, the Normals and the NCIAs, which is the National Cannabis Industry Association, right? So that's where the work is really done. So if you could give some of your time to that, I definitely encourage as well.
Yeah. And it's fun, actually. It's really a good time.
It's so fun.
You meet some awesome people. Just the networking of, again, the one that I was at most recently was Minority Cannabis Business Association, MCBA. And just the networking that we did prior to going on the Hill and meeting with the senators, which, by the way, Jen, to your point, is actually not as intimidating as you think. I mean, they welcome you into the office. They're there as public servants. For the most part, we actually got to meet with a number of the senators directly, not just staff. A couple of them we got pushed off onto staff, but for the most part, very welcoming crowd, and it's kind of cool to walk around the Capitol.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah.
And what's great is if you go with one of these organizations like NCIA or Normal, to your point, it's not scary. It's easy. In fact, what they do is they typically hand you a little booklet and say, hey, here's the talking points when you get in there to meet with your representative. Yeah. So, if you could get across 3 points to them, we'd really appreciate it. And they give you a nice pre-printed format. You just walk in and you read from the paper the messaging that's been, established and, what we're trying to deliver. And it's really very, very easy. And to your point, they're always receptive to hearing you. And
we actually had scheduled appointments with most of them where we had times we had to be there. And that, again, from meeting the actual senators themselves, that worked out really, really well because they were anticipating our arrival. Yes, we had the talking box, which is awesome. All these organizations stand that up very nicely. But then, we're all from the industry. We're all comfortable with it. Being able to speak to those points and put our own spin on it, our own passion on it is really cool.
Yeah.
For sure. It's a good time. So go. If you haven't ever been to a lobbying event, go. Go locally, go nationally.
So that's mid-May. Take us into the tail end of May.
Tail end of May. Don't have anything on my radar for the tail end of May that I'm that I have.
Jen?
Well, this is Florida-centric. Florida Medical Cannabis Conference and Expo, FMCCE in Orlando. What I love about this one is it's medically driven, right? So the doctors, the physicians, the recommending practitioners, plus some brands, right, that are here in Florida. But I love listening to a different element of our industry and learning on the medical side. So to Ian's point earlier, the medical cannabis conversation, really was maybe that's not correct. Gained traction and attention in Europe, I would imagine. And so shifting the perspective of recreational adult use and how that is landing here and starting out on a medical front was really fascinating. And the investment in the medical industry in terms of time and keeping it going and keeping it stood up for the patients. So I digress, but Florida's also could be and will be a big adult use state once that gets going, but currently we won't see that on this ballot for this year,
No,
unfortunately.
you'll get there soon enough.
We will. We will.
I was honored to be invited to a cannabis state regulators meeting.
Oh, cool.
That was held. So it was all of the state regulators from around the country that get together. And I actually had to be invited because it was really just for state regulators and a few very limited groups that were a part of it. NCIA, MCBA, some of those got to be there because they're looking to advocate for policy and things like that. And the perspective, to your point, relative to medical, the perspective from a regulator's perspective, man, these guys have got in many of the states have quite the burden because they're not staffed real well. They've got a huge contingent of support, and then they're trying to make it happen on next to no money and next to no support and next to no help. And yet everybody's turning to everybody else to say, but it's got to be managed down to the penny because, of course, of all of our regulations relative to cannabis. It was an eye-opening experience to be able, again, to network and to talk to some of these regulators and just see it from a whole nother perspective that the payment space.
Yeah.
That's where I look at everything from.
Yeah. It's a new conversation, right? It's very cool. It helps kind of move the needle. So yeah.
June's going to kick off pretty strong with, let's see, we got talking about the MCBA, actually. They have Minority Cannabis Business Association. They have things starting off in the East Coast in Jersey City, June 1st and 2nd. They're going to be in Oklahoma City on June 11th. And this is a great organization to get behind. They doing events nationwide, all around the country, and they're definitely a good group to follow. Let's see what else. As well, mostly what we're talking about here is a lot of the nationwide events, but there is a lot of regional events like MCBA, and of course at the Cannabis Chamber of Commerce, we're also doing a lot of regional events all over the place. We have things coming up.
To be the
go ahead.
To be the countercultural guy in that context, been in the cannabis space for more than a hot minute. I'm just asking, and I'm not saying back because I want to go to all of them. Do you feel that there is a preponderance of events relative to cannabis, and is it perhaps too many? And I don't think so because I want to go to all of them. But what do you think the motivation is organizationally, philosophically? Are we trying to coalesce this into a bigger group? Are there splinter factions that are coming out of this? Again, I'm not trying to cause a diatribe or an issue here, but it just I look at this and I'm like, holy crap, that's a lot of shows to go to.
I have some strong feelings on that, and I'm glad you brought it up. Listen, let me be really clear about something. I wouldn't know either of you if it wasn't for
that. Is a true statement.
Okay, so let's just start with that. I believe that these events, all of them, are the lifeblood and the backbone of our industry. I will say it again. I believe that they are the lifeline and the backbone of our industry. We would not know who to talk to. We would not know who to do business with. We would not know what kind of vendors were out there. We wouldn't know shit without showing up at these conferences. And and things change. So like the vendor relationships that you made maybe 2 or 3 years ago, there's new players that have come in and they're probably worth evaluating. So how are you going to know if you don't go to a show? So I don't think that there's too many. I wish I had more time.
So do I. That's actually my reason for it. It's not that I mind the quantity. It's like, that's a lot of shows. There's only one of me.
Well, and let's be honest, there's an expense that goes into it, right? There's an expense that goes into it, a time, and I love that so many of them are now becoming a little bit more specialized, right? So if your niche is in banking, there are some more banking-centric and payment-centric conferences. So that might be where you lend to, and yes, those are the ones I need to go to. And then sprinkle them in with what Ian was just saying with regards to these regional events, the Chamber of Commerce events, your local, government association, FLCAN type of event. And then, the C-Lab, which is our cannabis law, accounting, and business. Tap in with like your Eventbrite and like things that are happening, type in your keyword just so you can maybe dip your toe if you haven't gone to some of these more mainstream ones. But Ian, you're right. Every call that I've had today was someone that I met at a conference, and I've been on at least 8 calls prior to this recording. So real life.
I get I get easily a half a dozen calls a week with people saying that are just reaching out from the past. Hey, Ian, I met you at a conference, and I'll see that we had like one text exchange 2 years ago, or something like, "Hey, nice to meet you yesterday," or whatever, And but then they'll suddenly reach out. Hey, are you still doing the payments thing? And I'm like, yes.
And
I've tried
sometimes
to
it
get
takes a
out so
couple.
many times and I can't.
Right. Well, and sometimes it takes a couple touch points, right? Or if you met someone 2 years ago and they just kind of resurfaced into your, ecosphere, then now's the time, right? So it's always great to plant those seeds and that genuine, authentic opportunity that's meant to happen between those two connection points and those introductions will happen. And that's the beauty of continuing to go to those things. So you foster those relationships, you grow those relationships, those connections, and you never know. So I agree with Ian. Yes, there are a lot, but they are worth it, right? And they are I think you said it beautifully, the backbone and the lifeblood. That's a very, very true statement. Speaking of cannabis specific niche conferences, there is an amazing cannabis banking experience. Joe, that is our 1 year anniversary, sir, in New Mexico. It is.
And we're going to go do that again.
That is our origin story.
You're good at knowing the anniversaries of when you met people.
Ian,
It's amazing.
our anniversary is PBC. This year will be year 3. 3. So, Joe, he's got a lead on you. Maybe 2, but I think this will be our 3rd, babe. Yep, 3rd. So listen, I love this. And time flies when you're having fun. But listen to me, gentlemen. This is a big announcement. Our 1 year anniversary, Joe, at the Cannabis Banking Experience in New Mexico on July 15th and 16th, yours truly will be the MC of the event. And that has been officially announced, and I am stoked.
And that really scares me.
It should.
I mean, she is so shy. Put a mic in Jen's hand. We are in trouble.
As evidenced by today's episode, you're welcome.
No, it is, and I've been to that ACB. I've been to that ACB event, and it was actually the last one I was at, which was fun. I enjoyed it. They got the chance to speak at it. Me again, networking. Ian, to your point, met a whole bunch of great people there. Again, centered more around the banking and compliance side. And again, I would love to cap this off at July, not because I wanted to make sure ACB got in there, but we go too far into the future. I mean, there's a bunch more. I personally like the local regional shows a lot better in a lot of ways than a lot of the national shows. Not that the national shows are bad. They're just trying to draw in such a large audience, and it's harder to network in such a large group. And I won't mention that biggest show that we all have a tendency to go to. There's just too many people to see. There's no way. There's just no way. So.
There's a couple of big shows that are really important that are going to happen later in the year. I know I'm going to see both of you at the PBC
without a doubt
in September. None of us would ever miss that. And that super unique event and.
There was a not to take us too off topic, because we're not at the end of the show, but I don't want to take us too far off topic. There was an event, Ian, that you and I've gone to, Ian, and I'll say it just because it was the old version of it. Benzinga did a thing where they did a speed dating round in one of the conference rooms, and everybody sat on facing chairs with a stack of business cards, and then one team moved one chair down every 7 minutes or something like that. And I got to tell you, first of all, it was hysterical just doing it because it was, speed networking round. But the people that you met, because there was no control over who sat in front of you, plant touching, non-plant touching, beverage, whole spectrum. But it kind of forced the topic where normally in the banking world, the payments world, you might float towards more of the banking and the payments people.
Sure.
No control. You're meeting people that do everything, all walks of life. That alone was the coolest part of that. In my mind, that event, I got more out of that one part of that event. I thought this is good because it's forcing the topic of people to talk who might not normally, not because they don't want to talk, but just it doesn't work. The circles just don't touch that much. That's all.
Yeah,
I thought it was.
Yeah,
cool.
You're right. That was a super fun. Those little high tabletops. And a little speed round. That was cool.
Everybody move one table. Everybody move one table. I'm like, okay, this is pretty.
Exactly like speed dating. Yeah, so let's see what else. In June, there's a couple other unique things coming up. Ignited again. We're going to be in Chicago, June 14, 16, June
I
16
will
will be
be
my
at
birthday.
that one.
Don't forget, since I'm going to see you guys in Chicago, second day of the conference is my birthday. You
Ian's
should wear a
birthday,
birthday
second day of
coat.
the conference, third day of the conference. None of us will be there. Just saying.
Facts.
My town, I know where we're going to go, and I know where we're going to go.
And Joe loves to celebrate birthdays. So his mom just had her 93rd
90.
birthday, Joe?
90th
90th birthday.
birthday. It was fun. Way to
How
go.
amazing is that? Mm-hmm.
Well, any other things to talk about? I don't want to cut us short, but in the context of, I mean, we've gone around the block in terms of some of the shows that are out there. Anything other pressing from a cannabis industry perspective that comes to mind? I mean, I know there's a gazillion things we could talk about, but we don't want to take them down a too far a rabbit hole. But anything that's pressing, Ian, I'll go to you first in terms of you're our guest, that you're thinking of that we should either know about or that should be a topic of conversation, maybe even for another show.
Yeah. Um, I'll kind of stay on the events theme and how important it is to just keep networking all the time. That's just really important in our industry. You got to shake hands with the people that you're going to do business with. You got to meet them. So to that end, stay aware of event schedule. In fact, you can go to my website, rassman.com, rassman.com, and you click on the events tab, and it will show you all the things that we just talked about, plus a whole lot more. Really, this is the tracking for anything you may want to do regionally or internationally. So go check that out. But then there's also, I would really encourage everybody to go check out the Cannabis Chamber of Commerce.com and sign up for a free profile because you'll be able to instantly start networking in there. And you'll also find out about all the regional events that the Cannabis Chamber of Commerce is doing in your home state, in your city. And these are the rooms that you can go in and meet people, like physically go in and shake hands. So these are your local conferences, and those are the easiest ones to tap into because you don't have the expense of travel and all this, and you get into a room for free, and you spend a few hours with other industry people on a weeknight during the week, making it easy for everybody. So these are really important to tap into, and there's plenty going on all across the country. You'll find out about it at the Cannabis Chamber of Commerce, where we've been expanding over 17 regions in the U.S. and coming close to 9 or 10 chapters in Europe. We're launching chapters in Latin America, and just gotten started in Africa, and we're about to start some chapters in Asia. So this
Wow,
is
that's
all
awesome.
the interconnectedness of the cannabis industry that even though we're a little bit restricted at this time for participating internationally, we've got the whole network available for you on that website. So you can get local, regional, and international connections. But go find out where your local shows are, your local meetups, like Cannabis Chamber of Commerce, and go to them. Go start shaking hands, get into the room, start talking to people. So that's what I would leave everybody with.
That is amazing. Well, speaking of the National Cannabis Chamber of Commerce, Florida is starting their chapter in April. So very excited for information. So thank you, Ian, for tapping me and a really great leadership team to do that. So exciting. And then also, Ian has Prime Real Estate on my laptop. Folks, that is his QR code. He gave that to me
That's
going on 3 years ago when we met, and it has been on my computer ever since. So you are my lifeline to all things events, my dear. So thank you for that. So does that mean like I think about you every day when I open my computer? But it's true. So thank you for doing that. And thank you for being a resource for the community and for people to have access to that, because it's so easy to just scan the QR code. So yeah, just a shout out for Florida coming soon. I am in Florida, so Cannabis Law, Accounting, and Business. CLAB is a great organization that's been rooted here for the last 9 years. And then on the advocacy policy side, the Florida Cannabis Action Network. And I double down, get involved locally. Identify one or two great larger shows that you want to attend. And one mantra and thing that I've always said to myself from the jump of entering the space is put yourself in the room where the cannabis related conversations are being had with the people that are making those decisions. So it's very important to get connected and show up.
Yeah,
mic drop.
Mic drop. I had an opportunity to go to that last C-Lab event as well, and I was very impressed with both how it was set up, structured, and all of the conversations and the education that was a part of that was actually very, very good. It's good stuff.
C-Lab is OG.
Yeah, it is.
To your point, I've been watching them for 9 years,
Mm-hmm.
and they've really been going strong and constantly growing and constantly putting out good content for Florida. So
Definitely.
So in addition to Rassman.com and the nature of some of the associations, how do people get a hold of you directly, Ian, if they want to talk to you and, I don't know, stalk you, annoy you? Because I will.
Stalk me. It's that calendar list on my website if you want to know where I'm going to be. No, I don't attend all those events, but the bigger ones. But Rassman.com, got my phone number on there, my email, and click a link to book a Zoom call.
Awesome. Well, thank you to my co-host, my lovely co-host. Ian, thank you for joining us on the Bottom Line Buzz, where we talk about all things business. We're focusing a little on cannabis to start with, but we appreciate you being here. Appreciate you being a part of the show. Thank you very much. I think we'll have to have Ian back on again, maybe after a drink or two on his birthday. I'm just saying.
We are bringing the gear.
We are. We're probably going to bring the gear, Ian. Get ready.
Okay.
And that's
It's right
the
here in
bottom
my
line
backyard.
buzz.
You know that. I can just bring it with me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you all. Appreciate it. Thanks for being a part of the show. See us again on the next one. See y'all soon.
Thank you so much. Love being here with you guys.
That's today's buzz. If your business handles cash payments or compliance, this is your room. Like, subscribe, share, and remember, revenue is loud, but the bottom line is what counts.